I am Kenny Anderson, Director of Multicultural Affairs for the City of Huntsville, and welcome to Impact. Each week we bring you information about things that we hope will be beneficial to you, and I promise that today's show is going to be chock full of information about news that you can use. It's called The Wealthy Child. It's a nonprofit organization that's set up to teach financial literacy to children and youth, and the brainchild of that initiative is with me today. He's the Executive Director of The Wealthy Child, and he's the author of These Documents, which is a book and workbook. He's none other than Delvin Sullivan. My man, what's happening?
How you doing, sir? Thank you for having me.
Doing good, man. You know, we've been talking about this for a while, and so it's happening, and I'm glad that it's happening because the financial stability of children is just as important as the financial stability of adults. To me, in the sense that children need to learn as soon as possible, the value of money, how to manage money, and the difference between assets and liabilities. And so financial literacy is one of those things that needs to be a part of children's lives. Tell me why you put this process together.
Well, the three things that drove me. One is I learned that 7 out of 10 households in America have less than $1,000 in their bank account,
So
which tells
you need to say that one more time because somebody missed that.
7 out of 10 households in America have less than $1,000 in their bank account.
70%.
Yes, sir. So which means if you have more than $1,000 in your account, you're
rolling.
Yeah, you're the top part of Americans. And so, and what I wanted children to know is that when you walk outside, regardless of the neighborhood, regardless of the environment that you're in, and with that number, looking down that street, that 7 out of 10 of those folks live check to check, whether it's a large neighborhood, small neighborhood, your neighborhood. So you don't, for one thing, that helps with a child's confidence, believe it or not, because they know once they grasp it, is that, hey, you may look good, but I also know we only a paycheck away from being in the same situation that I am. Another key thing is that 80% of crimes that send people to prison are money related.
Wow.
So I said if I could actually get that through to my 7 to 12-year-olds that I teach every Monday, that I might be able to save a life or change the course of a life, because they know, as opposed to going and robbing a guy or stealing and getting a charge that they can't get rid of, which causes them to go down the road of crime, which lands in prison, that they can say laying on that floor, that maybe eating ramen noodles, that if I take what Mr. Sullivan taught me today, first I can turn these ramen noodles into steak, and secondly, I can prevent myself from going to prison or being dead because I was doing something that would eventually land me in prison.
You know, what you say is so full of wisdom, and it's something that I know lots of kids need to hear. Let me ask you this question. When you talk to kids today about money, what are the messages that kids are either being exposed to, and how are they responding to the things that you're sharing with them?
I think that once they learn the general premises behind what I'm doing, I think it takes into context. So most kids will see mom or dad go all out on a holiday. Mom will spend everything she has for Easter. Child doesn't know that weekend or something, mom may be at the church trying to get money to pay her utility bill, but she did everything for a child. So when I get to the budget section, I want the child to understand the sacrifices that the parents are actually making. So when I finish with that program, they have a understanding like, okay, well, I know my mom has a utility bill. She went to college, or she may not went to college, but she has some student loan debt that she's mentioned. She has rent. Wow, she's paying all these things and still able to provide for me. It turns on it causes a whole nother level of respect for the parent. And I deal with a lot of young men who have, or women that are in a single parent household. So when you know that your mom was fitting that bill, and then you're still getting up looking decent, she's getting you up on time, getting you to school, you still look as presentable as possible. She's going out her way. A lot of people like to make a big fuss about people going out and buying Jordans versus something else. But the mother wants her child to look and fit in with everyone else. I just want the child to understand the sacrifice that the mother made. So when I do that, it takes on a whole new light. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything costs money. There's no
Yes.
question about it.
Yes.
And I think that your approach to helping young people understand that it's okay to have things in life, it's okay to want things in life, but there's a price that comes with that. And part of that whole desire to have that thing comes with a proactive investment in how I think about money. And I want you to just talk for a moment about the difference between assets and liabilities, because as you said, you know, you can go outside your house, you look down the street, 70% of those houses are living paycheck to paycheck, regardless of what you see parked in the garage, regardless of what you see the person wearing, regardless of how you hear the person may be rolling. Mm-hmm. The reality is that a lot of people are living check to check, they're living in debt, they make six figures, mm-hmm. but they practically spend six figures.
Some more.
So there's a real challenge there. Assets and liabilities in terms of just getting this message out to kids. What do you say?
Well, one thing I do, I actually try to start small with the investment piece, let them learn how money works. So one of the things we do is you can actually see some of this video on my Instagram page where we practice difference between stock, mutual funds. We talk about interest. You know, I'll come in with a bag of pile of potato chips and set one single bag over here. This pile on the left is obviously your mutual fund. This pile over here is your stock. So learning those general principles about if you're investing, how that you can spend a dollar, be able to spread it out in one place and have some security, or you can put it over here, and if you lose it, it's gone. I'll take that. Once I finish that conversation, then we can move into assets versus liabilities also, because when you get that car, that money that you spend every month is technically gone. But if you take it and place it over here and say, this mutual fund or this stock, this growing. Yesterday we discussed interest. That means, hey, in the simple version of that is thank you for putting your money over here with me. I'm gonna give you a little something every quarter, every month. So when I switch from you just bought a car, you spent $500, it's gone. And you spent $500 over here, not only will it stay there, it's still yours. At the end of the quarter, it may be $520 or $510. So the hope from that is to get them to say, when they become old enough to start acquiring assets, in the book it's called A Major Purchase, then they'll have some understanding that it's good to have nice things, but be knowledgeable what happens with nice things, understand how your money works, what's gonna go in, what's gonna go out, then you'll be more successful in the future.
What do you say to kids about what many people might call the fundamental principle, like maybe the number one principle of money management, financial literacy, and that's paying yourself first? What do you say to young kids about that?
Actually, that's about as simple as I can get it, is pay yourself first. If mom gives you $10, put $1 in a sock. And they know, as at the class yesterday, is once that dollar gets to the point to where, hey, it's too big for the sock, somebody might come see it, what's the next thing we do? We actually put it in a bank. So yesterday's class was about banking. But yes, pay yourself first. So, and I try to stick with the whole at least 10%, so they understand when I say, if you get a 10, pull $1 away. You're paying yourself. Because one of the key principles that's taught in this class and the message I want everyone to get is I don't want the adults or the child that I'm teaching to outlive their money. And the only way to do that is to save, and the key to saving is paying yourself.
And one of the most important times of life to save is when you're younger, because that interest, as you said, compounds over time.
Yes, sir.
And that if you put that dollar away and those dollars start adding up to tens, and those tens that start adding up to 20s, and it's just a multiplier. that occurs as a consequence of that. What do you say to young kids about this whole notion of delayed gratification as it relates to money and financial literacy? Because you see things all around you. We're assaulted by the next thing, and we want that thing. Especially when you think about technology. The last Apple product I had was just fine, but put that next product out and you want it, And a lot of kids, I know we probably set some bad examples for young people, some of our purchasing habits, but what do you say to young people about that whole issue of instant gratification versus delayed gratification as it relates to financial literacy?
Well, actually, I've used myself, and that didn't go over with the youngest ones as well as it did with the older ones, because they all know I want a new Corvette. But I tell them my money is not where it needs to be right now to get that Corvette. So I need to delay that gratification. So that's actually how that conversation started. But one of the things that helps me with delayed gratification is the budgeting class. And the reason being is because the class actually speaks to an item that you want to purchase. And you don't do anything but manage your money until you're able to purchase that item, as opposed to going out and spending it on candy, video games, any of those things. If I want the PS3, then I need to save my money properly until I get this PS3. No matter, and that's in another class that I had. I don't want to keep talking about my classes, but we do a class on self-discipline, which is if you don't have self-discipline, that delayed gratification is just a mute conversation. Right. So I think the budgeting class, which is the foundation to finance for me anyway, because it's your plan that you're actually putting in place to attack the things that you want to do, that helps greatly with the delayed gratification conversation.
Yeah, there's just so much that kids can learn, so much that kids need to learn. As I look at the wealthy child here, I see topics like income, budgeting, banking, credit, assets, investing, giving back, which is where I wanted to end off, because we've just got a couple of minutes left, but giving back, and I know where your heart is too in terms of the community, is really as much a part of this whole concept of financial literacy as anything else. You, as I, believe that we are given to be a blessing to others, and not just to be a repository of stuff, hold on to it and collect it and amass it. So the giving back aspect of financial literacy, just give me a little bit of that in about 30 seconds.
Okay, I tell all parents that's the most important part of the book. And some ask me, I tell them that's how I actually create a book. I try to take myself, ball it up, and put it in a book. But the goal is for me to teach you how to make money, how to keep the money, how to grow the money, how to invest the money. Now that the money is being invested, it's growing while you sleep. It allows me to go out and do what I'm actually doing now. So I don't have to worry about Huntsville Utilities, Bryant Bank, any of those folks that I have to pay, because I've practiced those lessons in the book, put everything in place. My money grows while it sleeps. Now I can actually get out here and try to change and make a difference in children's lives, which is the exact same thing I want them to do.
Yeah, well, I think it's wonderful, and I'm so glad that you have launched this nonprofit, The Wealthy Child. People are watching today locally, but we know people are also going to be watching nationally and internationally. You got a message to share with people. If people want to get in touch with you, how can they go about doing that? You
can find me on Facebook, Instagram. The website is www.thewealthychild.net. It's The Wealthy Child on Facebook, and it's The Wealthy Child on Instagram.
All right.
So
it's The Wealthy Child. Everywhere you go, they can find you. You're not hiding.
Yes, sir.
Delvin Sullivan, Executive Director of The Wealthy Child. He's also, I didn't mention earlier, the Chairman of the Board at Huntsville Housing Authority. Thank you for being with us today and sharing this information. You know, you got a platform. Anytime you want, come back and talk to us, because you're always doing great things in the community.
Thank you, sir.
All right. We hope that you've learned something. You know, we talked about The Wealthy Child today, and here it is once again. It's the book that you can get a hold of and share with your young kids, your mentees, children, your students. The Wealthy Child workbook that actually walks them through the process and the journey of being able to become financially stable. You can reach out to Delvin at The Wealthy Child across all platforms. You can find him there at thewealthychild.net. On Instagram and Facebook, that's where he is, The Wealthy Child. You can get that information. And he's available to come and talk to your groups, your students, and be able to share with them as well. So you definitely want to reach out. Give your kids a chance to make it in society. And we hope that you'll definitely take advantage of that. Now, you can check out a video of the show that you just watched on my own Facebook page, which is Impact with Kenny Anderson, where you can also see some behind-the-scenes shots of what happens after the camera stops rolling. And you can also check out huntsvilleal.gov, where you can check out the video of the show that you just watched. For Impact, I'm Kenny Anderson. Have a great day.